Glad you're with us tonight. So many great things happening in our world, and we're glad you decided to be a part of what FlashPoint's doing. Listen, this is a show you need to make sure you're listening to. You want to, if you're recording this, if not, make sure you're recording this, because you're going to want to go back and get some of the information. You hear from Dr. McCullough tonight, and then later with our friend Pastor Matthew Barnett with the Dream Center in LA. I want to remind you, if you have not joined the War Room, you should, fparmy.com/war room, because on there, the prayer community, over 4,000 people have already opened the email that we just sent out this morning. Great post from our friend Nate Johnston, who recorded one just for you in the War Room. So you want to go, if you haven't, go sign up, fparmy.com/war room. And of course, fparmy.com for all of the good information that you need concerning FlashPoint. All right, today is Juneteenth, so let's check in with Mike Garofalo for all the latest news. Mike?
Gina, if you were surprised the bank was closed today and the mail did not come because, well, it's a federal holiday. Juneteenth, the newest federal holiday, became official 4 years ago on June 17th, 2021. On that day, President Joe Biden signed into law a bill creating Juneteenth officially a national Independence Day. Opal Lee, a 93-year-old civic leader, had worked for over 40 years with one goal. Her petition to achieve this holiday had reached 1 million signatures, and the retired Fort Worth teacher was present at the signing. This momentous event arrived nearly 156 years to the date that General Order Number 3 was delivered in Galveston, Texas. What was General Order Number 3? Well, here's a quick breakdown. On June 19th of 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston and announced that all enslaved people were free more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st of 1863. This marked the last major group of enslaved people being informed of their freedom months after the end of the Civil War. So now you know June 19th is a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the end of slavery. Gene.
Thanks, Mike. You can catch Victory News every weekday right there at news.govictory.com and on the Victory channel. All right, before we get to Dr. McCullough, I'm going to play this clip because it's what RFK Jr. did today on his removal of some folks in the Biden CDC. Watch.
A massive change by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. removing all members of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee, which makes recommendations on the safety and efficacy of vaccines. Members getting a notice saying this email serves as formal notice of your immediate termination. Kennedy releasing a statement saying, "Today we are prioritizing the restoration of public trust above any specific pro or anti-vaccine agenda." Kennedy argues a clean sweep is needed to restore public trust, claiming the committee had conflicts of interest, adding the Biden administration appointed all 17 current members, with 13 of them last year. But critics have called this change dangerous and partisan.
Is it partisan, Dr. McCullough? Welcome to the show.
No, it has nothing to do with the right or the left. It has to do with exactly what RFK is saying, restoring public trust. This committee became a vaccine rubber stamp committee. The members had connections to the vaccine manufacturers. One of the worst examples is former member Dr. Paul Offit. He is a patent holder on the rotavirus vaccine, and he was on the committee that helped usher in this vaccine for all children. Can you imagine the conflicts of interest? They weren't kept in check. The committee was rife with corruption. You know, it is a federal committee. It operates under a charter. There's 29 liaison organizations, including the AMA, as well as the American Academy of Pediatrics. So it needs to be restructured, but this is the right step.
Let me show you what the Wellness Company posted. You may have heard that company before. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. unveiled 8 people he has chosen to serve on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Vaccine Advisory Panel, just 2 days after taking the unprecedented step of removing all 17 sitting members. I know we talked about this. I like what he said here. RFK names new slate of vaccine advisors. All of these individuals are committed to evidence-based medicine, gold standard science, and common sense, Kennedy said in a post on X. Is he still running into pushback from the medical community on some of this when it comes to vaccines?
Oh, for sure. There's been major papers in the mainstream medical literature, JAMA, New England Journal of Medicine, lamenting the firing of all these individuals, saying that, people's health is being put at risk. Now, Kennedy will need to beef up the panel with doctors who see patients, who are experienced, pediatricians, those who've published extensively on, vaccines, particularly vaccine safety. We don't want to see another rubber stamp committee. It's not one size fits all. I hope the new committee takes a risk stratified approach and we start to lessen the burden of vaccines for children.
All right, here's a clip of RFK Jr. talking about truth over pharma. Watch.
In 1986, there were 11 vaccines on the schedule. Today, a compliant child must take between 69 and 92 vaccines to stay in school in some states. And not one of them has been safety tested in a pre-licensing placebo-controlled trial. And that is just malpractice. So the people who were in charge of that are now gone. And we're going to bring people onto the ACIP panel, not anti-vaxxers. We're bringing people on who are credentialed scientists, who are highly credentialed physicians, who are going to do evidence-based medicine, who are going to be objective, and who are going to follow the science and make critical public health determinations for our children.
Okay, so Doc, on this seems to be like common sense, but I had no idea we were up to 69 to 92 vaccine. How did that happen?
The committee kept rubber stamping their addition to the schedule, Gene. And so, if I'm a cardiologist, if I prescribed 16 drugs to a patient all at once, chances are there's going to be a side effect. And that's where we are now. Around age 1, children actually get 16 different vaccines, or they're in combination products. The complication risks and rates are too high. The vaccines have never been tested in combination with other vaccines. As a general principle, fewer vaccines given later in life, not in combination, much safer.
It's just, I don't think any of us realized this until the COVID disaster, when we saw what happened, and suddenly we're seeing, because most Americans, Doc, we trusted the CDC. We felt like they knew better. I mean, after all, they're the CDC. They knew what to do if you got poisoned. All that. It's just shocking that we're sitting at this place and felt like we must have been asleep at the wheel for several years.
Yeah, I was as a doctor. The vaccines kind of crept up on I took all the vaccines. My kids took all the vaccines. But when the COVID shots ran out, were rolled out, we started to see what was happening. It opened up our eyes. And, there probably are a whole array of childhood conditions related to excessive vaccination, at least a risk factor. And that includes asthma, other allergic diseases, neuropsychiatric disorders, even sudden infant death syndrome. All of this has to be investigated now.
All right, so before I go any further, I want people, because we talk about this every time you're on, and there's always such a huge response, because there are people that have taken the vaccine, the COVID vax, and they go, oh no, I feel I shouldn't have taken it. What do I do? Walk them again through the process and what they should take to get rid of that and reverse the effects of it.
At Wellness Company, we've made it simple now, Gene. We've combined the critical detoxification components into a single product. It's called Ultimate Spike Detox. Ultimate Spike Detox from the Wellness Company. The nominal dose is 2 capsules twice a day and on an empty stomach. We now have multiple peer-reviewed papers. I have thousands of patients under direct observation. It takes a while, probably a year or more, but patients do get restored to health.
Yeah, and how do they get that? They go to twc.health, and code FLASH gives them a discount. And this will help basically scour everything out of there? Is that what it does?
Right. The vaccine installs the dangerous spike protein. So does the infection. The spike protein, Gene, is a little spine on the surface of the virus. Let me show you to you. This little spine, it gets stuck in the body, after the infection, and the vaccines load a ton of it in the body. And we can't get rid of it. It's found in all the tissues, the bloodstream. So the ultimate spike detox helps degrade the spike protein, dissolve it, so the human body can get rid of it. The spike protein is causing all the symptoms of long COVID and the vaccine problems like blood clots.
All right. So, from the very beginning, we said on this program, we're not telling you whether to get a vaccine or not to get a vaccine. The problem we had was with the government telling you had to get a vaccine, or these mandates saying you had to wear a mask or you couldn't. Anyway, you know that, but I just want to go back on the record. That's that. Let's move on to dyes. TWC.health is a great company. A lot of great stuff where you can do that. But let me show you what's going on with some of the changes. Look at this. Fox News reports about Make America Health Again. Some changes coming. Watch.
General Mills, they're removing artificial food dyes from U.S. cereals and the foods that they send to our schools, K through 12 schools. That's going to happen by next summer. This is going to happen by the end of 2027. They're removing all artificial dyes completely by the end, like I said, of 2027. They make Trick cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cheerios, Rice Chex, the things that are probably in your pantry. Also, Kraft and Heinz, they're saying goodbye to the artificial dyes by the end of 2027. Includes Jell-O, Capri Suns, Kool-Aid, and Crystal Light. Then the In-N-Out Burger, they removed artificial dyes from strawberry shakes and pink lemonade, and they replaced it with the beet juice and turmeric instead. Their focus is on the red 40 and the yellow 5. Also, the high fructose corn syrup, they're replacing that with natural sugar. Then let's take Steak and Shake. Instead, they're using the beef tallow fat. We've heard RFK Jr. talk a lot about this. Instead of the vegetable oils to make their French fries, their onion rings, and their chicken tenders. And the tallow fat, it's still unsaturated, but it is a lot healthier than the heavily processed seed oils. Then all the spices in your cabinets. McCormick, many of those in my cabinet are made by this brand. Working to remove artificial food dyes and sodiums. Their focus is on the red dye number 3, which has been linked to.
Okay, so, Doc, this is wonderful that we see everybody getting on board. Why did it take so long? Why haven't we done this before? Did these companies just not know? Or was it to their advantage to keep it? I know that's the $1 million question, really a $1 million question. Surely this is not the first time these companies knew that there was an issue.
Just like there's big pharma, Gene, there's what we call big food. This is a big business. It's a big industry. The FDA has been working on this. The company's been working on this, but they've been slow walking it. And RFK has accelerated it now. We're largely talking about red and yellow dyes. They've been linked to cancers in animals. That's not good. And in clinical studies, they're linked to hyperactivity in children. So you never want your kids eating Skittles or Twix or, Starburst or any of these, brightly colored products. Now they're going to be taken off the market. It's interesting. I liked her report. Beetroot, which is going to replace the red dye, that's very healthy. It's very healthy for the heart. And turmeric or curcumin is very healthy for the joints. So believe it or not, we're going to replace these toxic dyes with very healthy micronutrients.
And I guess, I'm thankful that we're at this place. I just why did it take everybody so long? Maybe we just needed the right guy in the right position. Elections do have consequences, and this is one of them that no one would think about. But look, getting the right guy in as president makes a difference in your health. Who'd have thought it? Let me show you this. Walmart, Reuters shows Walmart Sam's Club to remove synthetic dyes from their private brand by year end. This is another step in the right direction. Without going back and digging up COVID all over again, what is your concern going forward, Dr. McCullough? With everything that we see, what is the number one concern that you see for Americans right now?
The COVID vaccines are still on the market, Gene, and through Trump, RFK, the FDA commissioner, they haven't had the willpower to pull these. They need to be pulled off the market. We've still had several hundred Americans die this year of freshly administered COVID-19 vaccines. They're not safe. They're not effective. and they need to be pulled off the market.
Is Big Pharma that powerful that they can keep a drug on the market that is obviously hurting the majority of Americans? I mean, this is a really sad state in America to have something this horrible on the market and in some states forcing it on you.
Well, fortunately, in Texas, where you and I are, they're so dangerous. The mandates had to be banned. Think about this. I mean, so employers couldn't force them on people. Fortunately, very few people are taking them. Our FDA is still out of touch. They published guidance where 31% of adults should be taking COVID shots. It's not even 15% are. And it's going away. Either Trump, RFK, or the FDA commissioner, they need to make a hard call and pull them off the market. Big Pharma is very powerful. Not a single country now has had enough courage to pull these off the market.
And that's a real tragedy. That is the real tragedy of it all. Let me show you this post. A big step forward today for the NIH. We've issued a guide notice implementing President Donald Trump's executive order ending U.S. support for dangerous gain-of-function research. No scientific project is worth the risk of causing a pandemic. Now, here's my question. This is good news. Gain-of-function research, we know from Anthony Fauci, the common layman has learned more in the last few years about gain-of-function research than we ever wanted to know. But in spite of that, is there ever a good time for is there ever a good time for gain-of-function research? Do we ever really need that?
I don't think we do. The theory is to get ahead of nature. We haven't proved that we can actually do that. In fact, these labs create things that are far more dangerous that come out of nature. Multiple leaks have occurred over time. Now, I read the NIH statement very carefully. It matches Trump's January 2025 executive order perfectly, which is a very well-written order. So not only is federal funding going to be pulled, but the government's asking the academic institutions now to do an inventory of all their research and report to the federal authorities where these dangerous pathogens, bacteria, fungi, and viruses, as well as toxins, are being produced. It doesn't stop non-government funded activities, like say from the Gates Foundation or Rockefeller Foundation's Wellcome Trust. So gain-of-function research can still be done, but the U.S. government is going to heavily curtail it and certainly not going to fund it.
All right, let me show you this graph here. This is about lab leaks each year, laboratory-acquired infections and pathogens. Escapes worldwide between 2000 and 2021. The Lancet posts this scoping review. Look at Dr. McCullough, I'm not sure if you can see all that we're looking at here. This is staggering, the amount of viruses and pathogens that have escaped. Seems to me there must be somewhere there has to be some guidelines, but is everybody not following the guidelines here? How are we seeing so many pathogens escaping and viruses escaping? This seems to be a bit bizarre.
Yeah, this report was filed by Nicholas Holscher, the epidemiologist at the McCullough Foundation. And, this study that was published in, major journal, these were when various pathogens or viruses, bacteria, fungi leaked out of labs and got people sick. These aren't just, breaches in safety. That's where someone got sick. Now, fortunately, it didn't spread. It could have been a broken test tube or an animal that got out of its cage. The Biden administration last May, about a year ago, posted very weak guidance where it's all, self-policing, self-reporting. I think we need to have something like the Atomic Energy Commission, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, come in and actually have strict regulation on who's going to handle these viruses. Right now, it's wide open, it's dangerous, and the public is at risk.
The public is at risk, but here in America, Nicholas Holscher here, it says the study identified 309 confirmed lab-acquired infections since 2001. But here's the point. Nearly 79% occurred in the United States.
Right.
Right. That's crazy.
Gene, there's a big operation at University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston. Galveston is not a particularly safe place to be when it comes to these laboratory-created monsters. This has got to be shut down. I hope that the next steps are taken. So not only just pulling funding, but strict regulation and safety measures put in place. And we have to watch the Chinese or others coming in and funding programs in the United States. I don't think we should let it happen.
I think all of America agrees with you on that one. All right, as we start to wrap up here with this segment, I'm still shocked at all I hear pushback on ivermectin. Is there anything new that we've heard that would cause anybody any concern about taking ivermectin, or any new research about its benefits?
It's safer than Tylenol. I use it now in my practice routinely. We found it to be very useful with treating SARS-CoV-2. Now there's emerging mechanistic data that it may have an anti-cancer effect. So it's working its way into some supplemental anti-cancer protocols. And some people just, use it off label. What I do is I check to make sure that, it doesn't conflict with any of the other standard cancer drugs, make sure there's no evidence of liver dysfunction. The only concern I would have is in someone with, some type of brain disorder or metastases to the brain and lowering the seizure threshold. But otherwise, ivermectin, very safe. And, we should find new applications for dynamic drugs. And this has been a bright spot in the pandemic.
What about mebendazole? I'm seeing that everywhere as well. Explain to me how that helps.
That's anti-parasitic like ivermectin, but in a different way. In fact, the wellness company combines both of them, ivermectin and mebendazole, in a fixed dose to treat what's considered neglected parasitic infections. The CDC classifies them various hookworms, pinworms, Giardia, and other parasitic infections. But with mebendazole for off-label use, it actually has clinical data demonstrating an anti-cancer effect against a broad category of cancer. So I think our National Cancer Institute ought to immediately initiate randomized trials using both ivermectin and mebendazole as adjunctive treatment in cancer.
That's staggering information. And I think none of us have escaped in our families cancer. Somebody in all of our families has been has suffered, either beat it or succumbed to it. What can we do? What can the FlashPoint Army do that are watching you? How can we help push? Can we put pressure on anybody to help this, other than going to twc.health and getting it for ourselves? But what can we do to help this whole situation here, get this out in the public more?
Well, FlashPoint Army is powerful. It's probably not a more galvanized group in the country. Go to the wellness company, sign up for a membership, at least get the, the frequent newsletters you share.
During COVID-19. And, my mother, she's in her 90s. She took the drug that supposedly could kill you. She got better, thank God. But she's had some repercussions from taking that drug. And it's like, I think to myself all the time, what could have happened if she did not take that? What could have happened if all these people that we know, we have lots of friends that passed away during that time because of the drugs or being forced on a ventilator. This should, and I know it makes you mad because it makes me mad. And we are going to have to keep praying for breakthroughs with people like Dr. McCullough. Listen, everybody here needs to go sign up for that twc.health, the newsletter, and get their information. And this, it's jaw-dropping research. When you find something as simple as taking ivermectin, that's pennies, and it makes such a huge difference in some cancer patients. Do your research, find out for yourself, get involved, and make sure you follow Dr. McCullough. And I like that he did that, McCullough.fnd.org. Help him in the research there to get things going. Great doctor, great friend of FlashPoint. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go to Los Angeles and check in with my good friend Matthew Barnett with the Dream Center. Got some videos. This is going to be fun. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
FlashPoint Live is coming to Evangel World Prayer Center in Louisville, Kentucky, July 3rd and 4th. Your host, Gene Bailey, is joined by Hank Kuhneman, Lorenzo Sewell, Lance Wallnow, and Ed Rush for 2 breakthrough-filled nights of bold truth and spiritual insight. Register for this free event at fprarmy.com/Kentucky, July 3rd and 4th, Louisville, Kentucky. This is your moment. It's time to accelerate to the next level of FlashPoint. The War Room is calling. Join the FlashPoint War Room, a powerful community of believers standing together in prayer, unity, and bold support. Get exclusive updates on what God is doing right now through this movement. Stand in faith, stand for truth, and stand with FlashPoint as we press into what God is doing in this season. Whether you're a pastor, intercessor, or a passionate viewer, this is your call to action. Go to fprarmy.com and join the War Room today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gene Bailey. You're watching FlashPoint.
It's official. FlashPoint is now 4 nights a week. You can catch us every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. More news, more encouragement, more opportunities to stand for truth. Don't miss a moment.
What you guys do, it's immeasurable.
Make sure you go online and share this with all of your friends, your family, even people you don't know.
FlashPoint, always to the right of center.
FlashPoint Live is coming to Fort Worth, Texas on Sunday, July 27th at 6 p.m. Central. Join host Gene Bailey at the Fort Worth Convention Center for a night of bold truth and prophetic insight. Special guests include Dutch Sheets, Kylie Jean Tannehill, Hank Kuhneman, John Amanchukwu, and Mark Meckler, with special guest Kenneth Copeland. Go to fprarmy.com/Fort Worth to register and get ready to accelerate your faith with FlashPoint.
And welcome back to the second half. Listen, I want to see you there in Louisville, but I got some late breaking news. The spot hasn't even been updated. The control room doesn't even know this. We have just confirmed another guest for our July 4th celebration, and that is Phil Driscoll will be joining us July 4th, leading us into fireworks. Weather permitting, we'll be outside. It's going to be a great patriotic, bring your flag, bring your lawn chair. We're going to have a great time. Ladies, I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the events that you do not want to miss. I know I say that about every one of them, but I'm telling you, this one's going to be a lot of fun. And I want to see you there. It's coming up the 28th, 29th. Then we're going to be on the 30th doing, well, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's July 2nd, July 3rd and 4th. July 3rd and 4th is Louisville. Then after that, we're in Fort Worth on the 27th. And then after that, we're going to be in a little town called Los Angeles. Well, a few of us went out to kind of see the grounds and tour the facility with Matthew Barnett. And I got an eye full and an earful. Here's a short clip from that visit. Watch. When you started this with your dad, and you, like you said, you were a young guy, you didn't really know what you're doing. Yeah. And how did, God obviously sustained you through all of this. This is a lot of, I'm just thinking, I'm doing mental numbers in my head here about 1,200 meals a day. That's not cheap. No. This isn't cheap. You got to pay to turn the power on. How do you continue to do it day in and day out?
I think because we committed ourselves to the finish line when we started.
Right.
So we knew that this was a lifelong calling. So even if everything doesn't happen today, at some point it will happen, you know? And so there's kind of a patience that goes in within a journey of what you've committed your life to a city.
Right.
And so it just allowed us to tell a story. We kept telling the story till we got tired of telling and told it over again. And we just kept bringing people in and helping them and just letting people know that, something good can come out of LA. And we just started a lot of people think the Dream Center is overnight success. To me, it feels like the slowest grind ever, but we've got to a place where if you stay in a city for 31 years like we have, some good things can happen over time, and commitment. And
such an amazing job.
Yeah.
And the FlashPoint Army, they've rallied to help you.
Gosh, the most humbling thing ever.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like that. I never knew people could love that much and be so responsive.
Yeah, it is. And I know people still want to help. How can they help? Where do they go?
Well, they go dreamcenter.org and they can support. We're still, dealing with 2 battles going on, all of this every day. And right over those hills, Altadena, 17 minutes away, we're still doing ash outs. We're still visiting people. They're going to come here today and get food and relief at 3 o'clock and have a walk up of hundreds of people. And so it's just never ending. But, when you get love and kindness through your team and people like that, it does so much to you. It's like, we can do this. It's kind of like people are helping you break a 4-minute mile, then everyone thinks it's possible,
That's right.
It's one of those things where it's very, very special, and it's probably one of the greatest miracles I think I've seen in 31 years. Wow. In a 15-minute gap. It was unbelievable.
It's true. Yeah, tell the story.
Okay, well, you said, the show's going to be on tonight. You might want to check it out. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I was just kind of like scrolling through and watching the show. And then my phone starts blowing up like crazy. And I'm looking at it. It was like 704, 704, 704. All these names were popping up because, I get it on my phone when they pop up, a donation. And so I'm seeing this, and it's just a trail of hundreds of people. I just began to cry. I said, I've never got this response on any show. I've been on all of them, the biggest ones that you can be on, and nothing even remotely close. I'm like, and I called my dad. I said, Dad, I've never seen a network that has such a great cause in my life. They're like a network that has great content and just people wanting to make America better. And then at the same time, they're just so reactionary. Well, they'll just step out and say, you know what? Let's send help from the sanctuary. That's really what it is. And so
FlashPoint Army is real. Y'all are real.
Yes, you are. Trust me, we're evidence of that. All of this is happening because of people like you, so thank you.
Isn't that awesome? You guys did that. You made such an impact, and we're going to make another impact. With me now, Matthew Barnett, live. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for joining again tonight.
I'm still shaking from your guys' love and kindness, man. And we just promise you we'll be the best investment you've ever seen by working hard and helping people in the trenches every single day.
Yeah, and you, when we were there walking through the facility, you were telling me how, or some of the guys were actually telling me that you're getting people that are giving on a regular basis saying, oh, by the way, we're FlashPoint Army. They're self-identifying when they make their donation. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, because the people that are calling them to say thank you are people in our rehab program, people who graduated in rehab in our 1-year program. And so they're just like maybe a couple of years off of their addiction. So they're like feeling the body of Christ in a way they've never understood before. They've realized it was the most powerful force in the world. But these people have been clean for 2 years. They're like, they're the nicest people I've ever talked to in my entire life. I've never talked to someone from Mississippi or Alabama or different places like that. So you guys, I tell you, are very, very special. And you're kind of heroes around the hundreds of people that live at the Dream Center every single day.
Well, it was a very impressive trip to go there. And, Matthew, I thank you for letting I want to play this clip. It's a little bit long. It's like 4 minutes. But
that's good.
We were walking through, and I got to say, everybody, when I meet a lot of people, and a lot of people, that are the heads of ministries, people don't talk to them when they walk down the hall. But they're these guys, I don't care who they were. They're Pastor Matthew, they're talking to him, and he's talking back, and that's just such a good sign because you have a relationship with so many of them. But I thought we went into a little room, and there we met one of the girls, and you said, have you got a testimony? And I'm like, well, geez, nothing like putting her on the spot. And she stood up and gave this testimony. I want you to watch this. Watch.
So I'm 23 years old, and I came here 6 months ago. This is my 6th month being sober here. And I came here because my stepbrother told me about the program. He was only here for about a month, and then he ended up leaving. And he told me while he was in jail, this would be a good place to come. So this is how I learned about this place. And from a young age, I was neglected as a child by my mother, because my mother and father were separated when I was very little. And my father was a drunk. My mom was just very neglective. She also used drugs as well in the house. This is how I actually ended up finding methamphetamine in the house, and how I started using it, because I found it in her stuff. From the age of 11, I started smoking weed, and then I would start getting into my mother's stuff, finding the methamphetamine, and then it just kind of, it really broke me down as a person. And I remember looking on the floor, trying to see what was I looking for. I didn't know what a come down was, but I was having one. I told myself I was going to stop, long story short, I just did not. Throughout my high school years, I would move on to taking pills, taking cocaine, to just getting drunk as well in class and all kinds of stuff, and just not a good place for me where I was at. And I didn't really know how to love myself, so that also got me into relationships where I was being physically abused, mentally abused, and it was hard for me to leave those relationships, and I lost myself completely. And my brother died of suicide in 2022. He drove off the highway, and that really impacted my life, and it wasn't really talked about. My mom started using drugs again, and so did I, and I ended up losing my job. I shaved all my hair off. I completely just did not know who I was. I ended up calling my dad one night when I was back at my mom's house because I felt like people were trying to kill me. Whether they were or weren't, that's just what I thought, what I believed. So I called my dad, and he ended up picking me up, and then not long after that, I got into another relationship, got me back into the drugs, and I ended up back at my father's house again, like a year or 8 months to a year after that. And I got here by the grace of God. And it's very beautiful.
And how long have you been here?
About 6 months.
So tell me what's happened in 6 months.
Okay, I've created a relationship with my Father and with Jesus Christ. I've accepted him as my Savior. I've actually gotten baptized for the first time, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
And I like declaring my faith, and it's just been a beautiful transformation on the inside, and it's also working on the outside. Like, I'm healthy, I'm able to get up and go to classes, and that helps me, just my mind, my mental state as well, get back in place. And I really love it because I wake up and I have something to do. I have people to serve, and I'm able to serve in a place that's also giving back to me. So it's very beautiful, just the vision that Pastor Matthew had.
So much, Lauren.
And it's not only helped my life, but everybody else's life around here as well. And you also see people that have been in the program, and they get to have leadership profiles now, and that's just amazing to see. And it kind of gives insight to what God is able to do through not just everybody, but through one person who had a vision. So that's
So that's awesome. So what are you going to do? What's the future hold?
I'm going to go through the second and third year. I'm going to definitely do that. It says in the Bible somewhere, don't quote me where, but it says somewhere in the Bible that a disciple is someone who is with God for at least 3 years.
I love it.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the first 3 years and then continue on with the rest of my life.
I think she should do church Sunday.
I know.
That's just great.
Yeah.
Matthew, she was a blessing. And what, because we just had one camera sitting there, you can't see. I mean, tears rolling down her face. I mean, she has a relationship with Jesus now. One thing that stood out to me as I was listening to that interview again, as she was going back, is how important it is who you surround yourself with, her relationships. She got out of one relationship and got back into another one that took her right back into the drug scene again. This is what you're doing. You are helping people not just get clean off the substance abuse or whatever they're dealing with, but understanding the right relationship with Jesus. And Matthew, that's amazing.
You put someone in a program for 1 year and they struggle with addiction their entire life, and they get up every morning, they're in the Word, they're in prayer walks. We start talking about dreaming, and no one's ever talked to them about dreaming before. It's always been about you're not enough, or you've been abused, or as she said, going to school every single day, so dirty and unkept. And then they get to a place where they're just around people that are just championing the possibilities of what their life can become. And that's what the gospel does. The gospel doesn't not only save us, which is the greatest gift of all, but it reinvigorates us. It gives us something to live for. It's like, we lay down one burden and then we pick up another burden. But this burden's a light one because it's a burden of serving and giving. And the burden is light because you're giving out of it. And that's what's happening to the people all over this program. I look around, about 70% of the people on staff here are graduates of our rehab program. I mean, we got ex criminals, we got ex everything. That's just the pastoral staff. That's not including everything else we got going on, But it's amazing. It's right in the middle of downtown Los Angeles. What's happening is people that were considered the 1%ers, with the 1% chance to make it, are becoming the 100%, because when the gospel is a part of their life, everything begins brand new, and we know what happens from there.
Yeah, amen. And okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're coming. We are going 28th and 29th of August. We'll be there. But this is what I want you to. These guys do so much. I can't even keep track of everything. He kept going, oh, and we have a home for this, and we do this, and oh, and we do that, and we feed 1,200 meals a day, and we do that. I mean, it's just staggering what they're doing. But this is the first time you and I get to go be a part of the outreach. Look, and we got some B-roll to show you. This is everybody comes and they just minister back to the people. Roll the B-roll, guys, so they can see, the people at home can see what it looks like. And when people talk about it, Matthew, what happens at an outreach like this?
Yeah, when we do outreaches and when the FlashPoint Army comes to serve with us, what they're going to see is really just everything possible under the sun happen. You're going to have trucks that go to Skid Row where people are living in cardboard boxes, MacArthur Park where people are shooting up, heroin between their feet. It's just crazy. And then on campus, if they just want to be there and just serving and handing out food and cards, cash cards for people who've been displaced by the fires. The great thing is we have an infrastructure in place to serve thousands of people at one time. And not just active boots on the ground, but people that just want to sit in a corner and pray because maybe they're physically not able. Everyone can participate. Everyone can be involved because it's an ongoing work. And whether you want to go out and do a kids program in a neighborhood and do children's church in a housing project or just hand out food in the food line, it's going to be the grand central station of ministry. And it's going to be the biggest outreach in Dream Center history because we're going to have the biggest army that we've ever had in one day in the FlashPoint Army. So look at that campus there. That's 400,000 square feet right on the Hollywood freeway that sits as a beacon of light. And so when we show up and say, we're going to serve the city, there's always people coming to rehab because of those encounters. And that's a great thing about the Dream Center. We can reach someone and say, I want to go to the next level. Get on the bus, come back. We'll give you a year program. So this is the perfect thing that we need in this summertime is to go big and to have one big final event before this end of the summer to say, hey, the Dream Center is just there 24/7. And sometimes these big events kind of inspire a lot of other things to happen and help for the rest of the year.
All right. So here's what we're going to do, guys. So I want you to listen to me because we're going to do this. You and I, we're going to meet there. And you go, well, I can't get around so good. And I asked Matt this question. What about people that maybe they're not as mobile and they just want to, there's something for you to do. Maybe you're going to help pray for people. There are things to do. I don't care what your physical condition or your age. There's going to be something for you to do. I want everybody to come. Now, here's how we're going to do this. If you will go sign up at fparmy.com/outreach. That's fparmy.com/outreach. Now, I need you to sign up there and give me your T-shirt size on there as well. And when you come there and check in, we'll give you your T-shirt because I want a sea of FlashPoint T-shirts out there. I want there to be so many FlashPoint Army T-shirts because you guys are going to show up. This is the first thing that we've done like this. The first thing where we've come together in person. Now, you guys have helped a lot, and we've done a lot of projects together, but now we're all going to come together and do it. So I want to challenge you to come meet us there. Meet FlashPoint in L.A. at the Dream Center, and let's do this together. And Matthew, I'm just telling you, I am pumped about this. I cannot wait to get there. I wish it was next week, but so everybody, go sign up. I don't know what you're waiting on. fparmy.com/outreach. This is different than signing up to saying that you're going to come to the event, which is Thursday and Friday. All right, so there's Thursday and Friday there at the beautiful Angelus Temple. We'll have the FlashPoint Live like we normally do. Saturday's the outreach. I'm speaking at church on Sunday, which is going to be amazing. I can't wait to do that. So stay the whole weekend. And then, guess what? Matthew has opened up Sister Amy's house for you. Yeah. Did you hear what I'm saying? It's right there on I knew her house was close. It's like 15 feet from the stage. Her house is there, and you're going to allow us, the FlashPoint Army, to go take tours of that, right?
Yeah, it's very rare. As a matter of fact, very few people have the keys to it, but we do. But it's one of those very special places where she lived and then walked to preach, which is literally right next door. And I took you through it, and I don't know whether you should show footage or not because they're going to be so wild when they see it live, but it is the most beautiful, beautiful place. and it's where she lived. It's where she prepared her sermons. Amy Semple McPherson, who changed Los Angeles in the 1920s, built Angelus Temple. And now we're just carrying on that legacy through the Army coming in to serve, the Dream Center Army that does what we do. And so, we give you special access, and we'll just do tours of it all day. And you'll get to see we're one of the great giants of the faith who reached Hollywood and the body of Christ at the same time. Was a very unique figure in the city of Los Angeles in America, and give you a chance to see something that really nobody will ever really get to see. So it's going to be very exclusive and very exciting.
And I know that it's a ways away, August 28th, 29th, but I wanted to give you the opportunity now because I want you to go sign up and save your money. Come join us and be a part that whole week. Stay with us the whole weekend. It's going to be an amazing time. But that outreach, can you imagine? You're going to be able to help. Now, you may be wondering, hey, this is downtown LA. I'm a little concerned about security. And there's not a security problem, is there, Pastor Matt?
No, there's not. I mean, we have such a good reputation in the community for 30 years. We don't even have any gates or bars around our facility because the safest protection you have is to be aggressively serving the people. And then you become self-protected in the community.
Right.
And of course, Rampart Police Division down the street, they love what we do. And these are times where we need an army of peace to come in. These are very tough times. And so for people to come in and spread the love of Christ, into a city that is just so kind of broken right now, to have a contrasting message of I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly, and just share the message that never dies, the message of the cross, and the one that breaks down so many walls, and what people really need during this time, in this really time of confusion which we live in.
Yeah, amen. All right, so we're going to do it. Terry and I will be down there. We're going to be helping. I want to see you there. Come join us. Go sign up and be there. Remember, it's the 28th to 29th right there in Los Angeles. All the information's on the website, fparmy.com, and you can do that. All right, I want to show one of these clips of another testimonial that the Dream Center put together of things this sort of things that happens there. This is so amazing, and you guys get to be part of it. 28 guys, let's watch this.
My dad told me. He didn't want to tell me, but he had to.
You lost your home in Altadena?
And my son's school.
School too?
Yeah.
You could see the fire. It was there. It was just this little small patch. And within the 10 minutes we went back out there, you couldn't breathe and the whole mountain was red. My friends sent me a bunch of pictures of the school and it's completely gone.
Today we are going to be in a park to meet with the families who have lost their school.
The school did burn down, and also, unfortunately, a lot of people lost their house.
We're going to have a rally, and we are going to meet the need. Because of all of you together and donating today, we were able to come up with 540 Chromebooks, most of them close to $500 a piece. 20 laptops, there you go, 20 laptops for the teachers. I feel like I usually have something to say to someone when they're in need, but this is the first time. I couldn't even comprehend what you guys have gone through. Then when I heard about the destruction of your school that you guys went through, I was so devastated that I just went back to the Dream Center. I just said, we're going to do whatever we can to help. We're going to bless you the Chromebooks, but not only that, we're just going to give every family $250 of cash today. I will never know what you go through, but we will always be here for you. So honored to have you. For the best.
At a time where we lost everything and we didn't even know what to ask for, it was good to feel that we could count on somebody that will come and say, what do you need? We got you. We're with you.
Thank you so much, Matthew, what you're doing there in Los Angeles. I'm telling you, it touches my heart every time I see that and see the pictures and photos and our time together. And talk to the people at home, because there's so many people, Matthew, that they don't have to be down and out and be on the streets to not feel like they're of value, to feel like they don't have to be strung out on drugs or an alcoholic. But they need to know that God loves them. So I wanted to give you this opportunity for the next 5 minutes for you just to talk, pray, or speak to those people at home that are watching right now.
Yeah, I think it's so easy in a world full of chaos sometimes to feel like you're alone, you're abandoned, and your mind just to be occupied by, what's going on in the world, or life has let you down. You go through some things in life that feel like you can never get back again. And you know, when you look at the life of David, he felt that way. You know, he was a powerful man, and he went from top to bottom because of the mistakes he made in his life. And when he gets back on his feet again, and God starts to like put him back in motion again, this is what he says. He says, you know, renew a right spirit within me. He didn't ask for a lot of the things back that he lost. He just wanted a right spirit again. And it was so interesting because I think a lot of times we feel like, man, when I've made mistakes in life, I'm too far gone, or if I had certain things back in my life, then I would consider it a comeback. But I want you to know that when you allow God to come back into your life and just do a good work, or you invite him back in and just say, Lord, start moving again in my life, what happens is you start to realize that you have everything back. You've already come back when you have a relationship with God. So I want to encourage you. See, the enemy will just try to use time and separation, you know, to stop you from thinking that you're ever worthy to ever come back again. And what he'll do is stack one day upon another and another. Before long, we just feel so far away from God. But the beautiful thing about God is when you go back to him, he doesn't hold a grudge. He doesn't look back and say, oh man, where have you been all these other 300 days or 400 days? He's just so glad that you're there. And I know on behalf of, you know, the Dream Center, Gene, you know, he walked through this place and he met the people, treated them like they're the most important person in the world, because that's what he feels. And, you know, when I see people come in, and it's impossible odds. People say you're a statistic. You'll never be this. You'll never be that. Or they show up and a police officer drops them off and says, maybe you guys could help them. I never look at that person in that car and say to myself, when the police car takes somebody to the Dream Center, and say, I wonder what they've done. I look at them and I say, I wonder what they'll become. And I really believe that. I believe that when you just invite your life and you open up your heart and say, Christ, come into my life, save me, forgive me, cleanse me, and wash me of my sins. And then you just simply say, the only thing that really matters is that vertical relationship with God. Amen. You'll start finding that all the other things will start coming back that you thought were important. Sometimes things will come back into your life that you never even knew that you wanted. And I close with this by saying, rock bottom is not where dreams go to die. God doesn't destroy people in rock bottom. He recreates them. And so if you're in a place where you feel you're at the bottom, that's the place where God can do his greatest work and dream the greatest dreams through you when you have nothing left but dreaming from that place.
Wow, I'm ready to go right now. Okay, let's go catch a flight.
Oh, I can't wait.
Let's go. We're ready to be there. I have a letter here I want to read you from someone, last name is Benson, D. Benson. It says, many years ago, we were addicted to drugs and alcohol. Now, I'm addicted to FlashPoint and decaf coffee and prison ministry. So excited to see the growth. God bless. Thank you, Dottie, for that. But we really do, ladies and gentlemen, if FlashPoint goes off the air tomorrow, I want to, and it's not, but if it were, I want it said that we rallied together and that we ministered together for the good of the people, to point people back to Jesus. And I think that's what's so exciting for us when we were at the Dream Center and talking to Matthew and all the people there, is that it really is, and I think I said this is what the church is supposed to be. This so many times, and I'm not knocking anybody, so don't read into what I'm saying, but the church has missed it when we've been building up these edifices to ourselves instead of reaching out across the street and ministering to the person that's in need right there in front of us. So let's all remember to be the one and reach out across the street and minister, whatever it is. They don't have to be addicts, and you don't have to be an addict to reach out and be a part.
Right.
Just do it. So Matthew, thank you what you're doing. Dreamcenter.org for people can go and donate. And yes, listen, I'm telling you to go donate to Dream Center. It's good ground. You guys have already done a lot, and we'd love to see, I just keep overwhelming them. Let's keep changing lives. How many lives have come through there? Have you had a record of how many people have come through Dream Center over these years?
We've probably had about 125,000 people, I think, come through our programs. Yeah, and we've sent people all over the world. I mean, literally, it's crazy. Everywhere I go to speak somewhere, I find somebody who came through rehab is pastoring now. or a different situation like that. We have 6,000 kids a year do short-term missions here for 1 week. We have 200 kids on campus right now, just going out to the neighborhood community. And the 3 hours that I spent with you on our campus talking to people who are the most broken was one of the most special days of my life. And I understood what FlashPoint was about when I saw the way you interact with people, Gene. You really love people with all your heart. And I appreciate that, because you could just see the realness. People are opening up to you and saying, one girl even did a rap song for you.
I know.
She did a FlashPoint rap song. And so they just express in their own way their love for you guys. And summers are tough at the Dream Center. They always are. They're the grinded out months, because people on vacation, they don't really give as much support. But you guys have just carried us through so many tough times this year. We thank you so much.
I know the FlashPoint Army, and I know they're going to continue to help you. And I want to say thank you in these last few seconds to everyone watching for supporting FlashPoint and what you do, that we keep this on the air every day, 4 days a week. Starting in September, we'll go 5 nights a week live from here in Texas. Go make your plans for the Dream Center. Thank you, Pastor Matt, for being on the program tonight. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Listen, make your plans to join us in Los Angeles for what a great event. Now, tomorrow night, you want to join? I got a very special guest, the best special guest right here. Terry Bailey is going to be sitting here with me, and who knows what she's going to say. You just never know. And we're going to read some of your letters and talk about what God's doing. Don't forget, remember, we're always to the right of center, but we love you. See you tomorrow.